Now we're gonna move on to this conversation with Aaron Mate, because he said some shit, or he put out a tweet from his friend, supposedly who lives in Iran, and he came under attack for it. It's not looking pretty. I'm not gonna lie to you. People did not take it well, and I completely understand why. So Aaron puts out this tweet, y'all. He says, sharing this at the request of a friend in Tehran. Please be our voice. They're asking people to evacuate Tehran while it is one of the most populated cities in the world, and it is extremely densely populated. Please be our voice. Don't let Israel massacre us. Okay, nothing wrong with that. Could have stopped there. We don't support the regime. We went to the streets to fight for our freedom. But bombs are only ruining my beloved city, my beloved country. Please share. I'm panicking. We have no one by our side. No one. Yeah. That like time and place. It's a time and place situation. And the problem that people have, not with this person have a genuine criticism of their government. If they have a genuine criticism of their government, then that's fine. Every single country experiences that. That's why we vote. What do you like? We're aware of that. But it's the timing. It's a pattern with Aaron specifically. Because I need y'all to understand. Like, this is not taking away it's not trying to take away from anything positive. Any positive journalistic contributions Aaron has made. However, this is regime change rhetoric. This is quite literally the same rhetoric we heard coming out of Syria. Right? And unfortunately, in that situation, it's the same rhetoric that Aaron echoed. I'm not saying that this person is like wrong for how they personally feel. But as journalists, he's a journalist. He's using his platform to amplify a message in an unproductive way. What does this weird ass? What? Oh, this is a weird ass critique of. I'm not gonna call it a regime because, yeah, I understand what the technical definition of a regime is, but the intention behind the word regime instead of administration is to somehow suggest that Iran is not a democratic state. Iran holds elections for every position, including the president and the supreme leader. Now, the supreme leader has a little bit more of the selection process is a little bit different because it's by the assembly of experts, but the assembly of experts are like representatives, basically. And the people elect them, and then those people, those experts, or the assembly of experts, that assembly, they hold an election to select the leader. But they also have a president, and the president is elected through direct democracy. They also have a legislature, etc., etc., etc. Insinuating it is a regime is implying that it is some type of dictatorship. There is a hierarchy, like every government. There are balance of power, and some people got a little bit more power than others. And I'm sure that there are criticisms of this government from within. Yeah, that's how governments and countries work. But y'all actually believe that Iran is being bombed because of something that your people did? Your government did? The only thing your government did was have the audacity to not let Israel bend them over the table 24/7 and actually defend other people who Israel has attacked. But the main accusation is what? A nuclear weapon. Your government isn't making a nuclear weapon. So if you don't support your government doing that, that's cool. They're doing what you don't want them to. They're not doing what you don't want them to do. What they're being accused of doing, they're not doing. So what is the point of this? So there was some responses, y'all. I mean, I responded. I said, this is propagation of regime change rhetoric. I thought we had already evolved past this type of "but my brutal dictator" caveat. And this statement is assuming that all of the officials in Iran, including the supreme leader and president, aren't elected officials. Let's not do Israel's work for them. Like I said, it's not personal, but come on, bro. It's weird. We have a responsibility, and this is weird ass timing, dog. It's not the time. It's Nick. I'm assuming this is Nick. He said, Niko, you suggesting that is imperialist bombing people isn't helpful to resolve domestic disputes? Some might think me a bit of an extremist for this take. I know. But what can I say? Appealing to the sympathy of genocidal terrorists by echoing their justification for said terrorism is simply a non-starter for me. Not a complicated man, y'all. I'm really not. I just don't appeal to terrorists. I think that's a dumb idea. Oh man, so many people. Comrade Misty, dude, what the fuck? Him like that. Damn, even Samir Khan came out of nowhere, bro. Samir has been on hiatus. Y'all know she literally, because she got married, so she made an announcement that she wasn't going to be engaging in public life anymore. And she even came out of nowhere. Probably not the best idea to share pro-regime change rhetoric while Israel is actively trying to, change the regime. And my friend asked me to share isn't an excuse. You could have easily omitted the second bit and gotten the same message across. The fact you chose not to speaks volumes. Funny, I've never seen you throw leftist countries like Venezuela or Cuba under the bus this way. I guess Iran is just too socially conservative and Islamophobic for Baizu to defend wholeheartedly. It ain't gonna cap. I'm not gonna cap, y'all. That's where the pattern is. That's the problem. Because it's, for Aaron specifically, it's hard to ignore the fact that you don't think any Arab or Muslim leader is worthy of leadership. And you feel every single leader that the United States, every single regime, every single administration that the United States is trying to overthrow, that happens to be Arab or Muslim or a combination of both, every single one of them is a brutal dictator. Every single one of them is guilty. Every single, it's just my friends that they're in the minority. They're critics on the regime. Okay, so like, what's your answer? Because remember, Aaron got a lot of heat back in the day because of what? Because he was touting the Assad brutal dictator, white helmet, blah 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 blah. And then he got what he asked for: brutal dictator, removed. Brutal dictator, quote unquote, removed. Haven't really seen him talking that. I could have missed it. Maybe y'all could correct me on this, but I haven't really seen him talking that much about men. Because whether or not he's willing to admit it, he helped to manufacture consent for this replacement, for the idea that this replacement dictator terrorist would somehow be a welcomed alternative by the majority of Syrians. When instead, this man is he is literally let Israel move in the second day. Then told we ain't gonna fight Israel. They can just do what the hell they want to. Now he's allowing a formal occupation of the United States in Syria. Now he's actually allowing Israel to intercept missiles that fly over Syrian territory as Iran attempts to defend itself. That hasn't been part of the analysis I've seen from Aaron on Twitter. But he had so many criticisms of Assad. Just couldn't help himself. That's why people are upset. It's like, how many? This is an Iranian. You gotta do better. Michael, you're wrong here. This is Michael's take. Michael Tracy, who's friends with Aaron, of course, so take it with a grain of salt. A lot of people seem to think you should have refrained from disseminating this truthful, noteworthy information, which, by the way, I don't know if it's truthful, so I'm not going to pretend like I can agree with that, but whatever. It's truthful, noteworthy information because some may perceive it as regime change. No, it is. It's regime change propaganda. Like, it is. I just want to be there. This is regime change rhetoric. It's not perceived as that. It is quite literally that. Especially because the tweet has nothing to do. It's like a non sequitur of logic. The justification being used to invade Iran, to attack Iran, is that they have nuclear weapons. The regime that you don't like is not engaging in that behavior. So why are you trying to throw the regime under the bus thinking it's going to save your ass? How does that make any sense? How does this tweet further the goal of peace? It might, once again, like Samira said, like others have suggested, if you would have just stopped at the beginning, maybe at the end, and not include that little part in the middle, you would have gotten the message across. But this is regime change propaganda. There's no other way to slice it, my guy. And sometimes you got to take the L and slide off. Like, damn, yeah, my bad, messed up. Oh, hey, players messed up. It's cool. It's true. Like, it happens. Okay. Like I said, it ain't a personal thing, but like, it's a pattern. And in the case of Aaron, unfortunately, it begins to look like it's personal to him. Shit, what the hell, Aaron? I mean, dog, they coming at, look, be our voice. Look, this is Indica. Be our voice, white man, please, bro. Bro, I can see and hear Iranian people fine. We have auto translate. Oh my God. He was saying, as a journalist, you know what you were doing, sharing a message my ass. Look, bro. This is how people feel. Because I would ask, as many people ask, what was your goal? What was your goal in making that tweet? What was your goal in making it? Look, this is at the was posted under the under Aaron's tweet. They said it's funny how you always seem to make the same type of friends wherever you go. Coincidence? I don't think so. As I keep saying to people, don't ever trust the petty bourgeoisie types. Here's you talking about your friends in Gaza, and you see me.
But I want to say something because I want to be faithful to and true to the friends I have who are still in Gaza. In my small sample size, they would love it if Hamas surrendered and stopped all this and let all the remaining captives go, because they're living through hell, and they didn't sign up for this. You know, they didn't. And what is it ultimately achieving?
Nah, I'm not going to pretend to speak for all Palestinians, because Lord knows. However, what you asked, so I mean, not for nothing, but one of the only talking points that had some validity to it is the fact that Palestinians were cheering on October 7th because the operation was to get hostages from Israel so that people could get their tens of thousands of friends and family members back that were being held hostage by Israel. Ain't like 1, 2, 3, 4, 10, 100. No, thousands of Palestinian hostages. There were massive celebrations because there was finally a chance to have some leverage over Israel that they had never had, or at least many of them in their lifetime had never had. Now, does that mean that there are no Israelis that have like some reservations or some conflicts with Hamas or Palestinians? Excuse me. Of course, there are Palestinians who don't like Hamas. There are people in every situation, in every government, in every country that don't like the actions of the people who are in charge. That is literally how a polity works. It's called politics. But do y'all actually believe that it's Hamas's fault that there's an apartheid genocide happening right now? And do y'all believe that the majority of Palestinians believe that? because from everything that we have seen, like the majority, because he even said that, now my friends might be the minority in the few that I've met. It's like, but that's what makes it weird, bro. It's always your friends that are in the minority, and it's always the fact that you seem to lean towards that direction. This minority belief system, this minority ideology in whatever group, oppressed group at the time, is experiencing chaos and regime change and a disruption in their livelihoods. Like it's weird, bro. Like, okay, Hamas is the problem. Before Assad was the problem. I'm pretty sure, and don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure in the past I've heard him talk about Gaddafi in the same way. And Gaddafi was the opposite of he was a problem for the Zionists. That boy was never the problem. Y'all go look at the economy under Gaddafi. Look at the free housing guaranteed housing that was given under Gaddafi, guaranteed healthcare that was given under Gaddafi. And y'all go tell his people that are living in fucking open market slavery right now, while militia battle it out to see who's going to run the country. Y'all go tell them that Gaddafi was a problem. And now it's the Iranian regime. We went to the streets and blah, 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 blah. Ladies and gentlemen, okay, cool. They're protesting in the U.S. Okay, so does that mean if Russia, for example, decided they wanted to bomb the fuck out of the U.S. because Biden won, like the last election, just was going to use that as an example, right? They saw the people in the street during January 6th. They saw those videos on the internet, said, man, you know what that means? If they won't let that minority, you know, we really don't know who won. Let's keep it a band. We know how these election systems work. But like, if they won't let that minority president or the president or the presidential candidate with the minority supporter come out and place that man in office, then we gonna bomb the hell out of them until they do. Yep. How much goddamn sense does that make, y'all? We gonna conquer their country. We gonna bomb those people. That's how we gonna help them out. What? Let me explain y'all something. Because somebody made a comment. Matter of fact, let me see if I can find it. And I hope this person on Twitter is watching me right now. Because I'm going to explain something. I love how people make these weird assumptions about me and my life and what they think I do and don't know. It's bizarre. Not going to lie to you. Pretty sure I know where it comes from. But we ain't going to talk about that right now. This person responded to me. Pull it back up for you guys. And I like hearing why people think the way they think. So I love responding to people on Twitter. I love responding to people on Twitter because I just want to know why people, because sometimes it can literally just be a misunderstanding. So I had to clear things up. But this person said, Blumenthal, Max, went to Iran and heard a wide variety of viewpoints. This is also assuming that Max agrees with Aaron. I'm going to go on a limb and say he doesn't. But anyway, considering it's a direct quote, that's an assumption, Aaron honored a request to release a plea from a victim of Israeli bombs. That's not necessarily reflective of his viewpoint. Agreeing with the decision to do so is another story. But it is a reflection of his viewpoint. I mean, has Aaron said it's not? Out of curiosity? Because there's been, if I'm not mistaken, it's been hours now. There's been plenty of opportunity for him to make it clear. This is not my viewpoint. This is the view. And I want to make that clear. This is the viewpoint of the person who sent me this message, and my relationship with this individual. It is that important to me that I felt like I have a responsibility to put this message out, not as a journalist, but as a friend. However, this is not reflective of my personal views regarding Iran's government. Now, Aaron is more of a traditional journalist than I'll ever be. So the fact that I know how you would frame that as a journalist who's intending to be objective while simultaneously lending sympathy and empathy to your friend with your platform. If I knew how to deliver that message, I know goddamn well he does. That's the problem. at a certain point, it looks intentional, right? Like, by the way, I can tell you right now, Max is not a spook. I can tell you right now. I'm telling you as a person who sat down with him and directly asked him about his relationship with his dad. Like, and it's uncomfortable. I'm gonna put it like that. It's they try to leave politics out of stuff, but like obviously Max is Max and his dad is his dad. And it's uncomfortable. Like, I don't know how to explain it. It's to the point where I'm not gonna reveal certain details, but like there's some things that Max has gone through personally that y'all wouldn't even believe, because like they're waiting on him to like do what your daddy told you to do or be like your dad, and then he just won't do it. And so people come out and organizations come out and punish him for it and try to drain him in various ways, and come after his family over it. So, but like Max and Aaron, for example, this was like a public dispute. So I don't mind. Like Max, y'all forget whenever Aaron was on that COVID trip, Max and Aaron, they did not get along. They were not on the same team. It took a while for them to start streaming together again, specifically because of how different their stances were on that issue. And they damn near won't talk about it on the stream together at all, probably because it would just lead to an argument. So that's why it was weird. This person decided to say, well, Max went to Iran recently. Okay, and what the fuck does that have to do with anything? What does that have to do with anything? Yeah, Max. I'm pretty sure Max would have spent at some point Christmas with Hillary Clinton as a child. His dad worked for the Clinton administration, so that makes sense. But like, I'm going to hold an 8 or 9-year-old Max accountable for 40-year-old, or I'm not going to hold 40-year-old Max accountable for like 8-year-old Max. That would be unjust. So my response to this individual was, no one will deny that every single country has people who support and don't support whatever administration is in charge. That's why elections exist. But when Iranian civilians are dying in car bomb terrorist attacks by Israel in an attempt to destabilize the entire nation and recreate it in the image of the empire, every responsible anti-imperialist journalist knows that it isn't the time to all of a sudden start pushing regime change talking points vaguely disguised as a disagreement over domestic politics. I meant to put, just like it's irresponsible to butt Hamas in the middle of a genocide because we know it's an attempt to manufacture consent and it ignores the actual problem, which is the genocide. And by the way, I wrote that. I didn't even know at that point that Aaron, that I didn't see that clip of Aaron. That just was a fucking coincidence. I didn't even know. But I'm just like, it's obvious, like, right? Why are we pretending like Hamas is the problem? Hamas is out there massacring hundreds of thousands of people, killing peace deals, opening up a front in the West Bank for some reason where there is no Hamas. We really, like, is Hamas the problem? Shit, not even the people that funded him, because that was Benjamin Netanyahu who funded him initially. Because Benjamin Netanyahu he has a nasty habit of trying to fund counter militia in Gaza to counter the militia that he helped to prop up. He recently admitted that. He recently admitted that he's funding a counter militia group to combat Hamas. And it was a secret up until he came out because he was worried it was going to get leaked. So now, so whatever news we hear about Hamas, we don't even know if that's legitimate. Because this is what Mossad does. The individual. Oh, I don't. This individual says, I agree. I just wanted to add context for others who are not as familiar with Aaron's work. While this may be an error in judgment, I wouldn't want people to think it's reflective of his entire career. But unfortunately, it is kind of reflective of his entire career. You feel me? Like, that's the problem. It's kind of reflective of his career. It's what we've seen. It's a pattern. That's why it's not like this is the first time he's done such a thing. If it was the first time, people probably wouldn't be so like, okay, it's a mistake. Also, once again, had the ability to caveat, hey, I'm only passing this message as a friend. That is the only thing that's happening here. Right? This person said, you're misreading the message. And, I'm misreading it. I said, no, I'm not. I recognize but Assad, but Gaddafi, but insert leader of country the U.S. is trying to overthrow here when I see it. They said, you are, but it is what it is. How am I misreading this? How could I possibly misread that, y'all? The message is pretty fucking clear. And by pretty clear, I mean it makes no sense. And the timing is horrific. Either I'm misreading it. No point to argue with somebody that's less familiar with the situation and people. Nothing Aaron posts or you reply, oh, I'm assuming posts or reply to me will change what is in motion. Nothing Aaron posts or, okay. This is what I'll be talking about. That is a weird assumption to make. Why would you assume that Aaron is more familiar with the Iranian people than I am? That's like a really weird thing to say. Like, because he's not actually. So I can actually tell y'all the story. So literally, as like maybe 20, 30 minutes, well, about 45 minutes before the bombing happened at the studio in Iran, I was texting one of the producers. And this is not some one-off situation. Okay, this is I'm friends with multiple Iranians that I talk to on a regular basis. And in this particular case, I was talking to an Iranian who was literally in the studio. Usually we start the testing, make sure to do our tech check about 45 minutes to an hour in advance, but I messaged and they didn't even open the message, which is bizarre because that usually doesn't happen. And then about 25, 30 minutes later, I see the video that studio had gotten attacked. And so I don't know about Aaron, but I was getting live updates about the health and if everybody's okay. And I was getting live updates in real time from people in Iran. Like, not like, oh man, somebody randomly. No, like in real time, because I was actually supposed to go on an interview. Now, we didn't do it because obviously y'all saw what happened. So my point being, and this isn't I go on Iranian, y'all don't know because it's Iranian TV, but I go on Iranian TV like once or twice a week. I talk to your Iranians weekly. You dumb motherfucker, you. I don't know why y'all think that y'all are weird, guys. Y'all haven't figured out by now. I'm worldwide Niko. I'm here for the culture. That's all I do. That's all I'm interested in. Like, one of my favorite ex, I call my best ex. She's Palestinian. We still friends. Like, why would you assume that Aaron, some random Jewish kid from Canada, would know more about Iran or Iranian people than myself? What, because Max went to Iran? Oh, these people that you're getting on, and they just be getting on the internet and don't even think. They don't even think. But no, I can almost guarantee Aaron doesn't even have more Iranian friends than me, prior to me even being a journalist, by the way. He probably had nowhere near. I've gone to college in the research triangle, ladies and gentlemen. If y'all don't know what that is UNC, Duke, NC State. I went to UNC at Chapel Hill. Bro. And I can guarantee you this, most of them don't want to be attacked under false pretense of a nuclear weapon they don't have. I don't care how much they agree or disagree with the local politics of Iran. Just like there are some people who might disagree with local politics in Russia. Ask them who they want to be their president and if they want anybody interfering with that process. Ask them. People be saying the dumb, like I said, it's not a personal thing against Aaron. It's like, it's a pattern, my guy. Because it's like Samira said, and I have had a lot of disagreements with Samira lately, but I do not disagree with her in her recognition of the reality. It's like, wow, weird how you don't have these criticisms of Cuba, of Venezuela. And she says more conservative countries. What's funny about Venezuela is that you can make an argument that Venezuela is actually a somewhat conservative nation. They're not Muslim, so they're not like that type of conservative. They don't go that far because of the cultural differences in religion. But Venezuela has a conservative nature to them culturally, even if their politics are not cultural, are not conservative. Like Iran is only conservative culturally, but their politics obviously indeed are not that conservative. But it ultimately comes down to, bro, it looks like a bad look when you are a white Jewish popular journalist from Canada living in the US, well-to-do, from a successful family, and you won't ever advocate holistically for regime change, but you say everything except for I support regime change. If you say everything except, like, it's literally, yep, they're guilty of everything the U.S. is accusing them of doing, everything that Israel is accusing them of doing. I don't want them to be overthrown, though. I don't want to go to war. Okay, so like you support regime change, but you're a punk. That's basically what it sounds like. I'm not saying that's what he is, but I'm just saying that's what it comes off as. Or it looks like you're trying to protect your career. Like, my guy, it comes off as suspect when you always do this with Arabs and Muslims, but never with the Maduros of the world, the Evo Morales of the world. Like, you don't do that with them, but you do that with them. Like, it looks a little bit suspect is all I'm saying. What was your goal, I guess, would be the question. What was your goal? And if your goal is purely to communicate a message, why did you not add the caveat? This is not representative of my beliefs. This is not representative of where I stand outside of wanting peace. Why didn't you just put that caveat? And literally no one would have had any complaints. Oh, okay. He's just communicating a message for a friend. I feel you. Cool. It's like, literally, that's all it would take. That's all it would take. That's sufficient enough for y'all, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. Make sure y'all like this video. Make sure y'all share, subscribe. We got to hit 1 million, y'all. Like I said, even if you just subscribing for shits and giggles and you never plan on watching again, help us get to it. We're going to get 1 million in a year. I know it. I feel it in my bones. I can feel it. It's going to piss so many people off, and I'm here for it. That's really what I want to do. I'm not going to lie to you. It seems petty, but I'm a petty individual. So here we are. Like I was saying, is that sufficient enough for y'all? If you would have put that out and then put the caveat, hey, just let everybody know this is not representative of my views as a journalist or, of the situation. Like, I'm literally just communicating a message for a friend because I feel like I have a responsibility to do so because, but wouldn't that be sufficient for y'all? That would have been sufficient for me. That would have been sufficient for me. But like, stop using, you always pick the weirdest times to advocate for regime change. Even if it is subtle, even if it is vague, we know that manufacturing consent is part of the regime change process. You don't have to fire a bullet to help engage in regime change. You think that they were paying all these fucking journalists from using the money from the USAID to shoot with guns or shoot with their pens in their tweets, in their videos, in their publications? War isn't always fought on the battlefield. It's not always fought in the streets. A lot of the times nowadays, war is started, and sometimes it is more effective when it is started and fought online before we even get a chance to see a bullet fired.